Good evening, everyone. I'm Molly. I'm the Executive Director here at the RAL National Association, and I'm here with Max Keller. Max is one of our most beloved partners here with the Academy, and he's come to our convention year after year. And now, of course, he's partnered with the association, which is one of Gene's newest adventures. And of course, we're here to provide you with all the benefits that you see me reaching out about on the daily, pretty much. And so Max is going to be talking about the roadmap to success and really Gene's book specifically, and the most recent project that he's done with Max, and how that can help you guys find the perfect resident. So Max, thank you so much for being here with us tonight. And I know you are going to bring it like you always do. So go ahead and take things away.
Awesome. All right. Hey, welcome everybody. We're going to get started. So tonight it's about using a book to attract more residents, and it's applicable if you're if you already have a facility, if you're in the planning stages, or even just thinking about it. This is a big part of the total roadmap. If you're looking at the RAL, you know, the whole like business model is getting you know, residents and getting the right people and attracting the right people. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. But we're going to talk about, if you peel it back another layer, we're going to just talk about marketing. So whatever business you're in, you know, if you're in any sort of residential real estate business, you'll see the correlations. If you're, you know, on a search for private lenders, or you just have another business, you know, that, you know, all businesses require leads, and leads is really the lifeblood of any business. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. We're just going to jump in. But before we get started, I want to know what questions you have. So just put in the chat, what is like your #1 sticking point when it comes to marketing? What do you struggle with when it comes to marketing, whether it's marketing for your residential assisted living facility, or, you know, something that maybe you're struggling with, you're trying to figure out like, how am I going to, you know, market to, you know, fill up the beds, you know, for the residential assisted living home, or, you know, your other businesses, like what's the #1 thing that you struggle with? And then I'm going to look here in the chat, see if I can open it up and see it. But yeah, just put your #1.
Type in chat or in questions too. You should have access to both of those.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so just put your questions in there, and then I want to make sure that I get those answered tonight, because I mean, that's what I'm here to do. So put those in, and I'm going to get started, and then we'll leave some time to answer your questions as we go. And I should be able to answer most of them as we go. So what is leads chasing you? Well, leads chasing you is about finding, and this is what we're going to talk about tonight. It's about finding the perfect resident. It's about you know, creating a continuous pipeline of referrals, so that you're not at the mercy of, you know, pay-per-click or expensive referral agencies. And it's basically just all about getting daughter Judy to call you, but getting daughter Judy to trust you, and having an actual system around that, and making it predictable. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So take some good notes. I've been a full-time real estate investor for the last 5 years, going on 6 now. So it's kind of flown by. And during that time, my company, Save Your Home Buyers, has helped hundreds of families in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We buy houses that nobody wants to live in, and, you know, just make them into a really nice place for, you know, working class families, you know, to live in, somewhere they can be, you know, proud to call home. I feel very blessed that I've been able to give back to the community. That's been a huge win. Give back to a lot of great charities, you know, which is something that not a lot of people with, you know, 6 kids can do. And I'm able to do that because in 2017, I discovered something that changed the way I did marketing. It changed my business life. And I truly believe that it can be a changer for you if you implement these strategies. So one of my mottos is don't ever give up. I had 5 girls in a row. And then recently we had our 6th child, which was a boy. So whatever you're struggling with right now, just, you know, keep going, keep persevering. And I'm going to show you how I did that in my marketing, because I'm not some sort of marketing genius or expert. I'm always a little bit dubious of people who say that. I'm just going to share with you what I've done, what I figured out, and hopefully you can learn from that. So this is kind of a little bit of context to what we're talking about tonight, and maybe some of y'all can identify with this. Is, you know, this is 2017. This is like a picture or a snapshot of 2017 from my home buying business. And so on the surface, things were looking really good. You know, I was on track to close 30 to 40 deals that year, which most people would say that's really good. But I couldn't help but feel like, My business was only as good as my next deal. I felt like if I didn't have a deal going on, I was basically like out of a job, and I felt like I was always interviewing for my next deal. And I needed a lot of leads. I needed a lot of people sending in web forms. I needed a lot of people calling me. I needed a lot of appointments because most of them weren't ideal houses for me to buy. Most of them weren't ideal candidates. And so I needed a lot of leads because if I didn't get any leads, I wouldn't have deals. And without any deals, obviously, I wouldn't have a business. And so I had tried, by 2017, I had tried pretty much every type of motivated seller marketing campaign and tactic and strategy you can imagine. I was doing cold calling. I was mailing out yellow letters. I was sending out postcards to every list that I could get my hands on. I was taking lists and stacking them together. And it was really frustrating because I felt like I was doing a lot of work. I was spending a ton of time, putting all these lists together and putting all these campaigns together. 99% of my time was spent on marketing. And then when I would get these motivated sellers on the phone, everybody else was talking to them. And I felt like I was chasing them. And I barely had time just to focus on my rehabs and normal business stuff, normal just working, on the business, not just in the business. So, to my friends, I had all this freedom in my own company, and I had 3 or 4 people working for me, and everything was looking really good. But to me, it was super frustrating. And so kind of what my solution was is I was like, okay, I sort of just drew a line in the sand. I said, I got to figure out a better way to do this business. That's the bottom line. And the problem really wasn't very hard to figure out. I'm here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and it's a very competitive market. And so I was chasing, the same motivated sellers as dozens of other companies. And there was local companies, there's hedge funds, there's big national companies and wholesalers, and I was bombarding them with the exact same messages. And so it felt like every lead that I talked to, every kitchen table that I sat at, these folks were getting the same pitch from multiple investors. And I was another investor in the stack of mail. I was another bandit sign in their yard. I was another yellow letter. And it felt like a grind. It was just a numbers game. And sometimes they picked me. I sent out a lot of marketing, but sometimes they didn't. And so I knew there had to be a better way to do my marketing. I just didn't know how. And so I would love to come on here and go, yeah, I planned all this out. I really didn't. I stumbled on it. I did it this way. It worked for a while. The marketing got really competitive. It stopped working as well. And so I decided I was going to niche. I was going to focus a little bit more. And so what I did was I went back through all my past deals and I made a short list of the houses that met these 3 conditions. So number 1 is I wanted to do deals where there was a good profit margin. And if you're in, the RAL space, about that. I mean, one rental house or one RAL property can literally, set you financially free, if it's run right. So that's a huge benefit. I was on the phone last week to a couple guys in San Francisco, and they called me. They're in my mastermind, and they were asking me about the RAL. And they were like, man, the profit's huge. Seems too good to be true. And I was like, well, there's obviously an operations component. I mean, this, right? It takes work, but it is a good profit margin. So that's why I like this model. Okay, so that's important to me, good profit margin. Okay, number 2 was I wanted to do deals where there was minimal resistance to my offer. I don't want to work with people. I say there's 2 ways to get a fish on the boat, right? Like you can go deep sea fishing and you can put the bait out there and you can get a big fish on your hook and you can just reel it in and wrestle with it for 3 or 4 hours. And there's people who do that, but it's really, really exhausting. And I just didn't want to have a business like that. I didn't want my business to be based on, magic sales phrases. I'm a regular guy and I like to help people. And I wanted to just do a business like that. And so I wanted to work with people who saw me more as a consultant, somebody like a guide that was helping them along, because those folks are more fun to work with and they're just not, as price sensitive, right? They're looking for the service. And number 3 is I wanted to work with, motivated sellers that were easy to work with, that I had fun working with. And so there's kind of the good news and the bad news. Warren Buffett says the good news can always wait. So I will say that maybe y'all are Warren Buffett like folks. I'll just go to the bad news. The bad news was most of my deals up to that point, which when I made this list, I'd probably done about 50 or 60 real estate deals. Most of my deals did not meet all three criteria, but for the few that did, it was very easy to see a pattern. I was a math teacher before I got into real estate. You don't have to be a math teacher to see this pattern. And it was the sellers were senior citizens. And so looking deeper at my notes, I noticed that most of my deals from seniors, they didn't come from my usual marketing campaigns. Instead, they were referrals from other seniors or their families. And when they talked to another investor, they were talking to me too, but and they were doing business with me, but my offer wasn't the highest. And I was like, huh, okay, that's what I want, right? And if you're on this call, you already know that senior citizens have a lot of needs, and it's a great place to be. So I don't have to sell you on that. But in 2017, that's when I figured it out. So I'm like, okay, I know senior citizens is where I want to be. How do I get more of them? Like, that's the bottom line. Well, the first thing I wanted to look at is, why is it that people were picking me even though my price wasn't as good for their house, right? And the way I would look at it for you is like, why would somebody choose your facility, your home, when it's $1,000 more than a comparable option? Okay. And so here's what I did. This was pretty unscientific. So I literally just called one of the sellers that I remembered specifically. He told me that they had an offer from another investor that was quite a bit higher. I just called him up. I said, hey, it's Max. Do you remember me? Save Your Home Buyers. He's like, yeah, I remember you. I said, hey, I remember that when you sold me your parents' house, you had an offer from somebody else that was higher. Why did you pick me? And so this is what the son said. I don't know if daughter Judy is the daughter. I don't know what is it. Is it like son James? That's my son's name, James. So I'll say the son James, okay? Because I know some boys are helping their parents, right? And he said the reason that they went with me, even though they had a better offer, was because the trust factor was there. But he said, because we trusted you. And I was like, okay, like, wow, like the word trust is worth $10,000. Like, that's a big deal, right? And if I think about all the deals I was doing that year and all the deals I had done and all the deals I had planned to do, we're talking about a lot of money. And, for me, kind of my style, I don't know if you can relate to this, is I would go to somebody's home, and like I said, I was a teacher for 7 years before I got into real estate. So I would go and teach. I would show them their different options. I would listen to them. I'd answer their questions. I try to find out where their knowledge was and meet them at that point, and then, go from there. And so I guess I was never the person, and I'm still never the person who puts a line out there and tries to reel somebody on the boat that doesn't want to be there. I'm more of a trapper. I share with people what I'm doing and then let them decide if they want to be part of what we're doing. And some people do and some people don't. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. So educating seniors, right, and their families, super crucial, because a lot of times it was the family members who were making the decisions. That was really the key to building the trust. And so if trust is worth $10,000 monetarily, I'm like, okay, what's like the fastest way I can build trust, right? How can I build trust at scale? Because I was marketing at scale, but I didn't feel like I was building any trust. And so what I was doing, but I could one-on-one. So I was like, how can I take like my one-on-one and scale that up? Because, I want to grow. I want to expand the business, right? And so I was asking folks, I was like, what was it specifically that made you want to work with me? And one of the things is they said that, I had a lot of knowledge. And they said, and one of them actually said, you know a lot about like all things senior housing, you should write a book about it. And I kind of laughed it off at first. I was like, no, I don't think that's for me, but later on, I'll show you what happened. And so here's what I was doing. I remember this lady right here. I think her name was like Bunny or Becky, something like a little bit unusual, but I don't think that's what it was on the contract. This lady, I remember buying her house in Grand Prairie. I remember it very well. Rehabbing it was a nightmare. I don't know how she lived there, to be honest with you. A lot of seniors need help with their houses, right? And she's 95 years old in this picture. It's unbelievable. But by just, doing some research on some different housing options, right? It really put these folks at ease, and it gave them comfort knowing that I wasn't just there to do a deal. I wasn't just there to make money. I was there to help them with whatever they needed help with, and I had the capabilities to do that. And a lot of that is just understanding their situation and taking the time to go through the different options. And so, that was all good. And it set me aside from, I'd say, I don't know an exact number, but 95% of my competition. The downside of this strategy is that sometimes I'd be spending, 2 to 4 hours at someone's house at an appointment. And then, because they had so many questions, and then, their kids would get involved in the process. And it was like we were starting all over. And I was building great rapport with one of the kids. And then another kid would come in and go, oh no, we don't want to go with that. Let's use this app and sell the house cheaper. And, it's like I was always starting over. And so I wanted to figure out a way to where I could take that trust, which we already established was worth a minimum $10,000 of economic value. How could I take that trust and scale it out? And so it was actually at an appointment, like I said previously, where after signing the contract, the daughter of a homeowner said, you know a lot about this. You've helped our family out a ton. I think her exact words were, if you had a book about this, like I would buy it. And I was like, I don't think so. I was a math teacher. I wasn't an English teacher. I don't know. I didn't even consider it in a million years. And then I thought about it a little bit and I was like, that's a pretty good idea. I could go from the person who knows a lot about senior housing to the person who wrote the book on senior housing. And so I didn't know how to write a book at the time, but here's what I did. If you want to take some notes, this might be a good time, is I literally just sat down and I just wrote out every question that I had been asked by sellers. So you want to write that down. I wrote every question that I felt should have been asked by sellers. Because, if you're on this call, you have inside information, right? You know things that just a normal person doesn't know because you're in the industry. And so I was like thinking about it in my mindset. I was like, okay, if it was my grandma and I was trying to help her, what were all the things that I would make sure that she, knows about, right? The pros and cons. So I was noticing that when I go to these appointments is I was telling people the pros and the cons, and they were really appreciative of that. They were like, oh, wow, like everybody who's talked to me, they told me all the good things about what they offer. They didn't tell me any of the bad. And it really helped build the trust, right? That's like the magic word for tonight, because marketing is really all about trust. So if you can only make it like the first 20 minutes here, I'm going to show you a lot more stuff here. I'm going to give you an opportunity in just a little bit that's very exclusive. So stay tuned for that. But marketing is literally about trust. That's what it is. I don't hear people talk about that. They think marketing is about a funnel, or it's about an email autoresponder, or it's about your Facebook targeting or the magic ad. It's really about trust. And how quickly you can scale up that trust is really, how fast you can grow your business. And so, I will say that writing a book for me wasn't easy. If I had known how hard it was, I probably wouldn't have even started. I would have quit before I started. If I wasn't in such a competitive market, I probably never would have even started. So it all really worked out. So if you're feeling like, a lot of pressure, or you're feeling like, you're getting your RAL home going, but it's like a struggle at times, I just really, really believe that it, for us as business owners, it's like the process of making steel. Like there's not one step to making steel, right? Like each step, it hardens the steel and it makes it tougher. And I really feel like every year as a business owner, that's been the journey for me. And I know at this point in time, I didn't know all these benefits that I'm about to share with you that I got from writing a book. I didn't know they were going to happen. I just knew that marketing was really, really tough. And I sort of was wishing for it to be easier. I know Jim Rohn says, if you follow him, I really like his stuff. And he says, don't wish for less, problems, wish for more skills, right? And I was like, okay, I'm just going to try that quote out. And so this was it. This was the first book. I'm glad I did it. And this was after several months of writing and rewriting and editing and proofreading and formatting. And I'll spare you all the details, but it was a lot of work. This is my first book. So it's Home to Home, the Step-by-Step Senior Housing Guide. Okay. So here's what I did. Very unscientific. Here's the formula. Okay. I printed up 100 copies of the book and I started giving them away. That was it. That's all I knew to do. And I was thinking to myself, this was my mindset. I was like, if I can get just one deal from the book, one person who I wouldn't have followed up with, because it's hard to follow up with hundreds of leads. And, if I can get one referral from it, like This is how I was justifying all the pain in my mind. I was like, if I just get one deal from it, a wholesale deal for me was, I mean, the skinniest wholesale deal, it's probably about the same cost as it costs, to get somebody in your home, about 5-6 grand. Average was about 15 grand, and a flip deal is about 30. And I was like, if I can just get one deal from it, it'll pay for itself forever. And then everything after that is just gravy. And so I didn't know like any specific way to hand out the book or all the things I know now that I'm going to share with you. I just started giving them out. It started with like people that were contacting our office from our existing marketing. I attached a picture of the book on our existing marketing, and I will tell you that this book became my ultimate business card. And what it created was, this is like what I'm so excited to share with you, is it created instant credibility and trust. Instant. And that's the word. That's the word I was looking for, was the trust. I saw trust being worth $10,000. It's like, how can I scale up trust? And so as the senior housing expert in the mind of my prospects, and these are some pictures of them right here, it created that instantly. And, so I go and set an appointment, right, to see a senior homeowner's house. Normal thing that I normally do. But then what I would tell them is, hey, by the way, I go, have you gotten a copy of our book yet? And they're like, your book? What? No, like it so threw them off. Like nobody else is doing this in my market. So I had a monopoly on the strategy. And I still do, because it's hard to write a book. Now, we've created a process and a way to plug people in that makes it easier than ever. But if you're wanting to write a book from scratch, it's not an easy road. So we like that, because it's like Warren Buffett says, it's like creating a moat around your business. And so there's things that these folks here really, really value, and it's hard for people to copy and duplicate it. And so I just tell them, I said, yeah, our new book is out, Senior Housing Workbook. I don't want you to make a mistake with your house. Chapter 3 talks about all the ways to sell your home, pros and cons of each. If I sent you a copy of the book before I came over, can you at least read chapter 3? And they're like, oh yeah, of course. So I'd send a couriered copy of my book. And then when I go over to the house, they've already seen my book. The book is essentially selling me. And what do they already have when I come over? The trust. You see what I'm saying? The lady on the left who's sitting down, Patricia, she wasn't just looking for a way to sell her house. She was always also trying to figure out where to live next. That picture is at a rehab facility, and she couldn't move into her home, but she needed somewhere else to live. And so I helped her do that. Now, I will say, because I want to give you the pros and the cons too. I don't want to, this isn't like rose, colored glasses, right? The strategy does cost me a few bucks. Okay. Like I have to courier out the book or mail it to them, quick mailing. The books cost me less than $5, so it's actually super cheap, and they never throw it away, which is amazing. But it's worth it to me because the payoff's huge. So like number one is I don't have to do a 4-hour Q&A with people. When I go to the appointment, I know I'm going to be speaking to somebody who's motivated and already, is pre-sold on me. They've already gotten the book from the author. You know what I mean? So the trust is already there. The credibility is already there. And I'm standing out among all my other competitors, because in any business where there's good money, there's a lot of competition. And so how are we as business owners going to stand out? And this is the way that I stand out. And that's huge. And so it's just been a big, big difference maker in my business, but it's been the most fun I've ever had, marketing my business. Like I can say marketing my business like with a smile on my face. That makes me feel good, because it used to be really, really stressful. And so do you guys see like kind of the power of how this works? Like the trust that you can build when you give somebody a book that you wrote. Now, some of y'all may be thinking, Max, hey, I'm not an author. I don't know how to write a book. I'm going to show you some step-by-step things that you can use that'll help a ton. Okay. So let's keep going. Now, so this is our senior housing system, and this right here is working for now 2 years in some of the most competitive real estate markets. And it's taking ordinary real estate investors and putting them into the status of trusted expert in the senior home buying niche. And so my book, Home to Home, is really written from the voice of real estate agents and investors. And the book that Gene recently wrote, his new book, That speaks more from the voice of the RAL student and the RAL member and somebody who owns an RAL home. So those are some of the main differences, and I wanted to point that out because people ask me about that all the time. This is one of our students who uses the book in Chicago, and Mike said that the book has been a complete game changer for him and his business, and allows Mike and Marissa to dominate this niche that nobody's really talking about. And if you're on this call, you already know about it and you're talking about it, but it's like, how do you scale it up? It's more than just a website. It's more than just Facebook ads. It's about building trust. Trust is really the key word. Last year, I won actually a year and a half ago now, won the Industry Innovator of the Year award for lead generation methods around this book system, and got to meet Robert Kay. If y'all were at the convention, it was awesome. And so it was cool to be recognized for that. And it's been an incredible journey. So, and I think I've already gone into me enough, but I want to talk a little bit about the book. So there's a picture of Gene's book right there, Solving the Senior Housing Puzzle. And Gene came to me and he said, Max, I love what you're doing with your book system. What can we do for the RAL community so that they can have something to give someone to really build that trust, because it's so valuable. And so I'm going to show you some of the specific ways that our current students use our book systems and why it works. And the reason it works, I go to this picture here of me and my grandma, right? So this is a picture of my Momo, 90 years old. That was her last birthday. And because really, ultimately, what we're doing is and grandma was really just a few steps away from living at an assisted living facility. We were lucky a family member could come and live with her, and she passed away really quickly. But grandma took care of me for the first 15 years of my life, and then I took care of her for the last 15 of hers. I took her to church. I got her groceries, medicine, before Instacart and all that stuff. And but my grandma was living on her own grandpa died in 87 and she lived to 2011. So like a whole quarter of her life almost, right? And so there's so many of these seniors, and what's happening is I'm going to make the difference here between traditional marketing and trust-based marketing, okay? Relationship-based marketing. So the traditional marketing that you hear at the seminars and the workshops and all the magic systems is, get a list of these, older people and skip trace them and cold call them and do door knocking and all of these things that, like people were doing to my grandma all the time. They were calling her up and pitching her reverse mortgages. She would get door knocking from real estate agents, and one of them even gave her like a big bouquet of flowers and said, hey, if you ever want to sell your house, let me know. And my grandma lived by herself, and she was kind of scared, and she knew that she got the feeling. She never like said this, but she just got the feeling to me, like she'd roll her eyes when she'd tell me about it, that these people weren't really trying to help her. They just wanted to help themselves. That was sort of the impression that they were giving. And so I never wanted to do that. When I started working with seniors on the home buying stuff in 2015, I never wanted to frighten these folks. I never wanted to try to talk them into something or trick them or anything like that, right? I didn't want them to ever think I was doing that to them, because I don't want to do that. So I made a promise to myself, and this is the promise I made, and this is something I want to encourage you to consider, is that closing on a house was not something I'd ever do to a senior homeowner, okay? It was only something that I would do for a senior homeowner. And so that mindset of just being like service first has been a core value in our company, just ever since. I mean, really since the very beginning. And I know for a fact that creating that trust, these folks knowing, people like my grandma who know that I'm there to help them and give them the right information, whether they work with me or not, that's one of the reasons I get so many referrals. That's one of the reasons why so many families trust me and trust our company and go to our website. And we get hundreds of hits to our website a month. And a lot of them are not from paid traffic, they're from referrals. And I know for a fact that's why, is because in the short term, it takes longer to build, but in the long term, which we're in year 6 now, it just keeps building and building. And so that's been absolutely huge. So here's 3 questions that we get asked a lot. Number 1 is, Max, I can't write a book. I don't know how. Won't it be difficult, and take a super long time? I'm going to address that in the rest of the time that we have. We got about 30 minutes left. Oh, let me go back. Went too far. Why should I get started now? and how would I actually use the book in my marketing? So I'm going to do my best to answer all of these questions, because literally going from somebody, I can just speak from firsthand experience, and my students, we have over 100 students across the nation that use one of our book systems. So this has already been proven. This isn't theory, but I just know from my own experience that going from the guy who knew about senior housing to being the person who wrote the book on senior housing was a huge pivot and made it a lot faster for people to trust me. Okay, so if you're like, Max, I don't know how to write a book, where do I start? Here's what I would say. If you think that writing a book is out of your reach, guess what? So do all your competitors. And it's so funny, everywhere I go, everywhere my students go, right? And we post all of our wins online. We post all of our wins on our website, and you can check those out anytime. I just think it's so funny how people are like, wow, this is like amazing and this is working, but I could never do that. And it's like, it's really not as hard as you think. Okay, so I'm going to break it down. Most of the time, folks get on here and say how hard it is to do something that isn't their option. It's not that hard. It's just how dedicated you want to be. And for me, it was easy because I saw trust was worth $10,000 or more, and I was like, okay, I can make this one-time commitment and get the benefits, and it all pay for itself in one deal. And so that's how I rationalized it, and that's why it made sense for my business. So this is what I'm going to share with you. Okay, I'm going to go through those three things. Okay, I'm going to give you a proven advantage. We call it the leads chasing you formula, and I've got a map that I'm going to show you that's proprietary to our company. That's basically every stage that you have to go through to market and get daughter Judy or a new resident to say yes to you. So I'm going to break that formula down, and I'm going to talk about how this system separates you from the competition and generates pre-qualified leads. So you're not wrestling with people, you're not using all the magic closing phrases, and the best thing is you're not having to compete on price. Because when it's all about price and that's all it is, it's a win for the customer, it's a lose for us as business owners. I want it to be a win-win. I'm going to show you how to get more referrals, and I'm going to show you how all of this is available to you in the next 30 days, even if you're not a writer. Okay, so let's jump in. So this was the book that we published for Gene, Solving the Senior Housing Puzzle. Amazing book. It was an honor to be asked to write the foreword in this book for, obviously such a legend in the industry. If you're on this call, you admire what Gene and his whole company has done. So, I always just want to say, Gene, congrats on the book. I'm not sure if he's listening, but I think he is. We'll see. So today, together with Gene, we're going to introduce a very special opportunity, and this is exclusively for the folks here on this call, where you can have the opportunity to license Gene's book. And I'm going to show you the specifics of how it works. And we already have students that are doing this. It's working. But I just want you to think for a second. Just imagine what your business would look like, whether you're trying to get lending for your facility, you're trying to get new residents for your facility, and you're really just trying to put your home on the map. Imagine what it's like putting your home on the map when you can give somebody a copy of your book and you can share it with them, and the folks in your local market see you as the clear choice. So when other people start talking about the local authority in senior housing, like you're seen as the trusted expert, to your prospects, right? To daughter Judy, to people who can live in your home and really be the envy of your competition. And I'm not talking about something that could happen down the road or in a year or in the next year or two. This kind of recognition can be yours in the next 30 days, even if you have little or no industry credibility. This is a great way for you to start getting the word out. And what's cool is by leading as a teacher, not a salesperson, you're building the trust faster, and it's scalable because you can give these books out. These books are actually cheaper than they were for us to do a 5-touch yellow letter campaign, which is crazy. And these are some of the students that are in our program that either have RAL homes or they're in the process of getting their RAL home. And they just saw this as like kind of a no-brainer to really be that bedrock or that cornerstone for their marketing. Okay, so that's a few pictures there. So let's go over this. Ultimate business card, number 1. Number 2, ultimate referral tool. And number 3, subject matter expert status. I'm going to give you some specific things because, unlike, regular business cards, let's start with the first one, the ultimate business card, right? So, you have business cards. I'm sure you've made these before. You've received them before. Like raise your hand if you've lost somebody's business card, but you actually wanted to call them. You just literally lost it. If you look in the catch-all drawer, it's not there. Have you ever received a yellow letter or a postcard from somebody and you didn't ask for it? Okay, what happened with it? Did you throw it away or did you keep it? So most of the time, business cards, yellow letters, and postcards, they get thrown away. But a book has a very high perceived value. There's the $14.99 price printed on the cover helps with that. So your prospects actually appreciate the gift, so they don't end up in the trash. And and even better is it makes it really easy for people to pass them out to other people. This is Don, one of our students, and he's in one of our book systems, and he says he's with a big franchise company, but the marketing there just wasn't what he needed. So he joined our program. This is what he said: I hand out my business card everywhere. This book is my new business card. So that's huge, right? So they're not getting thrown away. Well, how are they helping us get more referrals? So this is how. It's because what's in the book is not a sales letter. It's not just some cheesy stuff to get you to buy stuff. It's real value. The book breaks down all the different ways to sell your home, all the different ways to stay in your home. It breaks down long-term care insurance, which people have a ton of questions on. Gene wrote a whole chapter of that. Amazing, very smart. A whole chapter on all the different ways all different places that seniors can move into, how to pay for it. There's a chapter to the adult children. And so anytime that you give your book to somebody and they read that, right, there's 5 or 6 different really important concepts that I just said there. And so anytime somebody in their circle of influence at church, people they know, have one of those questions, they're immediately going, okay, whoa, I know somebody that can help you. I have a book of somebody here locally that wrote this book. Let me share it with you. And so it makes it really easy to share my message and for my students to share their message with other people. So because here's the bottom line is that I can share information with somebody and share options and solutions with folks, but it's not nearly as powerful as when another senior tells another senior, hey, you should work with Save Your Home Buyers. You should work with Max. Here's a copy of his book. That kind of marketing is 10 times, maybe 100 times more valuable, okay? Because a lot of times these folks have known each other for 10 or 15 years. So anytime we get a referral, that's why they say it's our deal to lose. It's because you're borrowing all that deferred credibility, okay? Let's talk about revenue. So the referral agencies, right, for senior living referral agency revenue exceeded $100 million this last year. And the reason why is because people are not sure what their options are, but most importantly, what's the magic word about marketing? It's trust. They don't know who to trust. So they're calling referral agencies to figure out who to trust. Who do they recommend? Does that make sense? But that $100 million is coming from people who own, RAL homes, who own different kinds of facilities. And that's a lot of money. And so how can you, break free from the dependence of referral agencies and attract the right residents to your homes? How do you do that? Because, if you get a lead from a referral agency, and that person ends up staying in your home, that's, 1 month rent. That could easily be, $5,000. That's a lot of money, for one person. And you have to keep paying that over and over and over again, unless you have a better way to fill the homes yourself, okay? And whatever method you use, like I said, you can turn traffic on. You can turn on paid ads and Facebook and all the stuff that the gurus are selling, which is one small part of the solution. But how are you going to stand out from anybody else? How is it not going to be just like a pricing struggle, right? How are you going to develop the trust? How are you going to do it in a scalable way? So number 3, let's talk about subject matter experts. So because of my book, I was asked to speak at a local church group as the subject matter expert on senior housing. And as a teacher, you would think I wasn't nervous, but I don't know why. I just was. It was kind of a last minute thing. I didn't have a fancy, presentation. I just went up there and I brought, a bunch of my books and just used basically the chapters as talking points. That's how I wrote the chapters. I wrote the chapters. These are the questions that everybody asks about. And I will tell you what, these folks were so engaged. And after my presentation, a bunch of them came up and talked to me, and they said, we appreciate you, and we appreciate you taking, time to speak with them. And I don't know about you, like, look, I love making money. I have a bunch of different real estate businesses. They're doing great, but I love helping people more. And when I was in 2017, what I didn't tell you guys earlier was I was thinking about going back to teaching. And it wasn't because I wasn't successful. I was making money, but it just felt like a total grind, and I was miserable. And then when I found a way to really scale up and reach these seniors and help people like this, I'm like back in hog heaven. I'm like super happy. And that's what it's all about for me. Maybe that's the way you feel too. But some of these folks came up to me and they wanted to know more about my services, which was huge. I even booked a couple of appointments to go look at houses that day. Kind of a funny story. If you look at the picture here on the right, this gentleman right here in the back said, I don't have a house to sell. I don't have a mom that needs help finding a house, but I have some money that I want to put to work. And you said that you create win-win opportunities for private investors. Let's talk about that. So that person actually ended up working with me. These two ladies right here came up to me and said, hey, we don't have a house to sell, but we need help looking for somewhere else to live. Can you help me? And that's when I learned about how I could get a referral fee. So even if somebody didn't sign up in my home or I didn't sell their home, I could get a referral fee. And then that turned into a whole nother income stream. So this was kind of a cool meeting because I figured out a lot of those things. And, it's just the more you do it, I guess the more you learn. But everybody wanted a copy of my book and they were happy. I will say that almost every time I've spoke somewhere, there's folks that are crying. And it's because these people are like in a lot of pain and they need a lot of help. And usually the person crying is the adult children. They've been taking care of their parents and they're trying as hard as they can. And they're just at their breaking point. It's not working. And they need someone. I've had people tell me, I've been praying for somebody to come into my life and help me. And they brought you. And I'm just like, man, that feels really good, And so it's cool. It's cool to help people. So although this was just a small group of people, I know to me it felt like a big stage, and I just wanted to do more of it. So imagine what it would be like to get, a limitless number of resident referrals from people like this, influencers, home health care facilities, rehab facilities. These are some of the places that we get leads for folks that want to sell their home. And this is some of the places that we have a big list of these and how to speak to these folks, the scripts, everything very specific in our member portal for our students. But we have students right now that are getting deals and getting houses and getting residents from home health care facilities, rehab facilities, from other real estate agents and investors, from other senior housing providers. Like, if the condition changes, they need a different level of service, and even from city officials. And so let me just kind of propose something here. So if you were to send a book to, let's just pick one of these. How about the director of a local rehab facility? So if you were to send a book to the local rehab facility director, do you think that person's going to throw away your book? Or would they read your book and learn about your story and keep you like top of mind? Do you think that the director of like a rehab facility receives a lot of signed books from local senior housing authors? Mine doesn't, because when I send it to them, they're like, wow, this is huge. And they need to turn the beds, right? They need folks to find somewhere else to live when it's that time, so they can get somebody else in there. So we're providing a huge service, right? And we provide the scripts, so our students have the book, they know exactly what to say. We have it all scripted out and planned out, but it's leading with value and it's leading with service. It's not leading with a cheesy sales pitch. Because mind share, which is like if people know that you exist and they're thinking about you, it's very powerful. And getting these folks and others to know about you and your business is a huge first step. It's a huge first, second, third, and fourth step to building your referral network. And it's the fastest way that I've found to go from the leading source to being, from unknown to leading, almost instantly. This is one of our students. She's in the RAL program and has a memory care facility in Connecticut. And so she's been doing interviews weekly with folks, and she's getting referrals from them because, these are folks that have been established in the industry, and she's new to it. But with leveraging the book and she's gotten huge opportunities. She's gotten free press and leads and deals from the newspaper. Her mayor, that guy right there in the middle, knows her. And it's just been amazing way to build up a big network quickly. So, you know, it's not only just handing the book out, but now she kind of went from the new person, and now with leveraging the book, following the system that we teach, she's the person that everybody's talking about in her local area. And so that's huge. Okay. So thanks to celebrity entrepreneurs, and you know, we had Dave Ramsey in another picture. You know, some of the other people on here. If you're at the last convention, Kevin Harrington was there. And these are some of our students who own REL homes or in the process of doing that, that are co-authoring this book and licensing it with Gene. Is that the book positions you as the trusted expert, the subject matter expert. It kind of gives you like a celebrity status in the mind of your prospects. So how much time does this whole process take, and what's the cost, right? We've got about 15 minutes left. So let's start going into some of the specifics and the details. Is that fair? Okay. If you have any questions at this point, just feel free to put them in there, and I'll take a break here in just a second and get all of them answered. I want you to get a ton of value from this. So for traditional business book, okay, you'd either need to hire a ghostwriter or plan to spend 100 to 200 hours on the writing process. And that's just for the writing, right? You still have the expense of editing and formatting and cover design, and then you have to set up all the publishing services. And this could easily add up to, you know, $15,000 to $30,000. And that's before you even print or give one copy of the book away. So that's huge. That's a lot of money. Okay. So let me show you our system, which is, it's simple, it's fast, and it's affordable, and that's what you want. So here's how the process works. I'm just going to walk you through it real quick. We have a 5-step process. It's very simple. So this process, 5 steps in 4 to 6 weeks, which is, it quickly moves you from decision to take action today to handing out, getting a box of books that you can hand out to your prospects in about 4 to 6 weeks. That's what this is. I'm going to break it down right here. So here's step 1, is within 24 hours of becoming a Solving the Senior Housing Puzzle licensee, you receive a personal welcome message from me, and it walks you through the whole process. So step 1 is you fill out a pretty simple online form. It's a couple of photos, short bio, optional dedication, and shipping information. And if you have any questions, I can get on the phone call with you, or somebody from my team can. So that's step 1. It's very simple. Okay, step 2, this is where my team takes over, and we customize your book. So it has your photo on the front, your name on the back as the author. It's got the bio on the back cover and the about the author section inside the book, and your personalized call to action information inside the book, throughout the interior of the book, so people know to call you. Okay. Step 3 is within 7 to 10 days of submitting your author form, we'll email you an online proof, and it's got the customized cover and the custom interior, and you can approve it. And then once you approve it, step 4 is that we send you a physical copy of the book in the mail, and you can look over it, and we give you the final, give us the final approval, the thumbs up. Okay. And then once you give us the thumbs up, then we ship out your first 25 copies of your book. And then we also get you an online author resources page. And so you can download 3D marketing graphics for your book, and a link to your digital flip book where you can share the online version, and a special link where you can purchase additional copies for just $6.50 each plus shipping. And there's no minimum purchase required. And so by eliminating the need for you to do all this technical, time-consuming stuff, you'll have a quality book, and you can hand it out to new customers, new lenders, new business partners, new people on your operations team. And you can do this with just a couple of hours of your own time. That's really what we're talking about. So it's super fast. So here's all what you get. I want to list it all out. So you get a book that's written for you. The foreword's by Gene Garino. That's really cool because he obviously has a lot of credibility, and that's what marketing is about, right? It's about building the trust and having the credibility. 25 copies of the paperback book is included. So what is it all? What's like all of the details, right? Like, what are we changing? Well, it's your photo and name, forward by Gene, how to choose a senior home. That's one of the chapters, the cost of care, long-term care insurance, selling your current home, how to age in place, right? And then how to help your aging parents. So that's what's inside the book. That's the how-to guide that you're giving, and so you can lead with value. Okay. You also include, for a limited time, 25 copies of the book included. Okay. So let's compare like the regular way to do a book, which was the $15,000 to $30,000 traditional book. Let's compare that to a licensed expert book, because for some of y'all, this might be the first time you're even familiar with this. This has been happening a long time, but nobody's really doing it in our space. So that's what we can take advantage of. So with a licensed book, there's no writing. So the book's already been written. Gene already wrote the book. And for 1 to 2 hours of your time, you don't have to do any of this. You don't have to do the editing. It's already been completed, right? My team handles the entire project. So everything's handled in one place. You don't have to piece together a bunch of service providers to manage this complicated process yourself. So we handle the book creation, the editing, the formatting, the cover customization, all the publishing services. So we handle all of that, and then you get your first 25 copies of the book included. Now, the regular price for this is $69.97, which is about 25% of what you would pay for a traditional book. But if you take action here in the next 72 hours, we're going to leave this link open. You can take advantage of this opportunity for a special price of only $39.97, which you can make in payments. So it's 3 payments of $13.32. So it's just divided by 3. Okay, very affordable. And it's just every 30 days. Or if you want an additional discount, you can make a one-time payment today for people who take action, and it's $34.97. So you get an additional $500 off if you choose to do that. Either one's a good option. It's just totally up to you. So you can get an opportunity to be in this book system for half of what it normally goes for, which is a third of what it would be if you went a traditional route. And you can get all of this in less than 30 days. Now, there are some additional bonuses. So this is the link, and it's just very simple. It's just dealschasingU.com/RALNA. And Molly can just put the link in the box down below so that you can access this. And that is the code. You have to type it in just like that in order to get the discounts, okay? And at the end, oh, cool. Rala admin, that's Molly, thank you. Okay, so that's the link to do that. And once again, it's $39.97 if you want to make payments. That's the sale price. And then for an additional discount, you can get an additional $500 if you pay all at once. So that's what you can do. Now, this isn't open forever. There's a time that this link expires, and it's for people who take advantage of this and click on it today. Okay, let me show you what you get. You get some bonuses here. So here is a flip book. So this flip book you can share with folks digitally. So if there's somebody that you want to get the book to, but they're not really ready yet and they just want to read it digitally, you can give this out unlimited. This is included in your package for people who register and apply and sign up today. Okay, so this is one of the bonuses that we're giving out. Normally this is extra because it takes some time to create this and host it and do all the things that we do on our end. We're including this. Okay, another thing that we're including is the 3D marketing images. So they're going to look like this. You can put them in your email signature, and you can put them on your Facebook and your social media. So that's huge. You don't have to do all this stuff. We've done this for you. Okay, another thing that you get is access to our Fast Start training. So this is how to get results with your book. This is a module that we created, how to be the go-to person with your book, how to access free local media. If you go to our testimonial page, you can see we have people that are getting interviewed on television, local TV, local newspaper articles getting written up about many of our students. Many of them are in the RAL community, and they don't have to pay anything for that. And some of those are the best leads. So we show you what to say. We have all the scripts, and you can get access to that for free. Access to our influencer marketing modules, how to teach in person and online. So that's our 90-day membership. Normally it's $97 a month to join that program. It's super valuable. We have a weekly call that all of our students get on, and that's where all the business owners camp out on Thursday. And we talk about marketing for an hour. We just had a PPC expert come on and talk about how to really utilize the book with existing PPC campaigns. So everything is very, very structured. Weekly group calls. We have book marketing support. We have weekly accountability. We have a private Facebook group that's very active. Like I said, we have almost 100 people that are licensing one of our systems. So they're getting deals on it. So it's not like this isn't something that's brand new. It's already been proven by me. It's already been proven by my students in almost every state. I don't think we have anybody in North Dakota or Montana yet, but all the other ones we got pretty much covered. Okay. I'm sure if you're from there, it works there too. Because why? Well, it's just about trust. We're just spreading trust faster, and we're teaching you how to get the book out. And if you don't have a home yet, but you want to lock in this price from the special, because we're not on the schedule for the rest of the year, so we don't have any plans on discounting it down like this again for the rest of the year. So if you're just in the building stage of your home and you see this as a very powerful way to build your business, you can lock in the price today. And even if you don't want to get your book written right now, that's okay. You can just basically lock in the price. You can get half price of what it normally is. But if you're too busy and you don't want to, then you can just come back and pay the normal price. But if you want to lock in 50% off today, that's what it takes. And this is the link to click on, okay? This is what we've created, and it's a clear path to adding more people to your home without a lot of marketing confusion. There's a lot of gurus out there that are selling the magic formula. Here's the magic Facebook ads. Here's the magic high converting website. Here's the sales secrets. Well, if you're a business owner and you've been doing this a while, you really know what it takes to be successful. It's all of these, right? So I'll start here at the very bottom. You have to know what problem daughter Judy and your resident really, future resident really has. And it's all about writing a headline that really resonates with that problem and creating a solution that you can put on your website, that you can put in your marketing that really speaks to the problems they're having. And then it's about targeting. If you're trying to scale up, whether it's networking, what groups you're going to use or what lists you're going to use, but how are you going to reach hundreds of people, because 1 or 2% of them are probably going to be candidates for your home. And then the launch prep, and the launch prep is all about what marketing system are you going to use. So we've already mapped that out, whether it's PPC, whether you want to scale up with networking, whether you want to scale up with YouTube ads. We've already built out all those modules that do two things. One is they show you the essentials that you or somebody on your team needs to know to successfully launch that kind of campaign. And two, it shows you how to take your book and put it with that. So now that system, that marketing strategy that you're using is fully developed and it stands out among everybody else. The funnel builder step, all right, go back. The funnel builder step is where we show you how to set up your autoresponders. We already have email scripts that you can use. So it's an entire marketing system that we've created. It's not a book just to give somebody, it's an entire system. And so if you are like seeing that and you're like, this is an automatic and you want 50% off the normal price, you can click the link and take advantage of that for a limited time only. If you're like, I'm seeing this, but I need a little bit more information or I have some questions, that's cool too. There's no pressure. When the little timer goes off and the time is up, that's it. But I'm going to give you an option where you can reach out to me and I'll answer any of your questions. So I'll grab that link here in just a minute and I'll put it in the chat. And then you can book a time with me or somebody on my team and we'll answer any of your questions if you want to make sure. Like, we're totally cool with that. The traffic hub step is all about turning up your traffic. Lead multiplier is the scripts that you need, the questions that you should be asking when somebody's inquiring about your home. We've already created those scripts. And then the sales secrets is about the questions that should be asked. And we have a real simple checklist method that we use that's proven, that's works, and it works for us, it works for our students. So we have all of that built in, so you get the whole thing. So once again, you don't have to write. It's 1 to 2 hours of your time. There's not a bunch of editing. There's not formatting. We handle all of that for you. You can get this system anytime you want for the normal price of $69.97, which depends on where you are. But in some markets, that's about the cost of paying one referral fee for your facility. And then everything after that is profit. Or if you choose, you can take advantage of the special that we have for you tonight. It's for people who apply and take action today. And this is it. It's $39.97. So it's $3,000 off the normal price. We're allowing payments for no extra cost, 3 payments of $13.32. Or if you want to pay one time, you can do that, and it's just /RALNA, and it's $500 off additional. So that's what it is. If you have some questions, this is the link I'm going to put this down below. And as long as you book the call quickly before the time expires, you can still take advantage of this. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this in the chat box right here.
And for you guys who don't know where the chat box is, in your control panel, on the bottom part of your control panel, there should be a drop down that says chat. I've put this link in there for you to drop you to drop in and get the deal. And then Max just put the link in there to schedule with him on his Calendly.
I don't know, and Molly, if you want, you can copy that and send it to everybody. Mine is just organizers and panelists, so if you don't mind dropping that in, that would be great. But that's what it is down below, and I think Molly will put it in for to all. So thank you so much. So that's it, guys. That's what we want to do, help you. So if there's any questions, I'll answer those. I just want to commend everybody for investing your time, getting your marketing better and increasing it. And like I said, this is an offer that it's limited time, and if you want to take advantage of it, this is what it looks like, and it's 50% off what the book normally is, which is about a third of what it would cost if you went out and did this on your own through an outside company. And it's truly a resource that Gene wanted to make available to the community, and we are very, very happy for all the members. We've had about 30 or 40 people in the REL community that have already taken advantage of this, and they're using it right now in their marketing. And a lot of them don't have their home set up, but they're using it to just really front load the marketing. And so if you want to take advantage of it, there's two ways to do that. Both of them involve you taking action today. You can click the link dealschasingyou.com/RALNA, and that'll send you to the page that we've created for you. $34.97 one time, $39.97 if you want to make payments, or you can click on the Calendly link, book a call with me, and I can answer any of your questions and make sure that you fully understand the opportunity before it goes away. And like I said, I commend everybody for investing in their education. Very smart, and look forward to coming back and giving you guys an update of all the success that our students are having. And just have a great day. Stay warm.
Yeah, so just so you guys know, Max is in Texas where it's snowing right now with rolling blackouts. So let's congratulate him on keeping with us this entire time and not having any blackouts of any kind. So that's amazing. Good job, Max.
Hey, you got the generator's working. Glad I got the Honda.
Perfect, perfect. All right, guys. And I just want to give you guys an overview here. I don't think it's, when you first come into this business, it's hard to grasp understanding every aspect of this, but Max, his team, along with Gene and other experts in the industry, have taken months of their time to perfect this book and really go through what questions people have when they're getting into the process of finding a senior care home, whether they're getting into the process of placing a family member, they're thinking about placing a family member, or they themselves think they might need care soon, or a loved one that they live with currently. And so everything has been thought through in this book, and it answers all of those questions in such a simple way that when I read through this book, I was astounded. I mean, I do this all the time, and I speak with all of you guys all the time, and I see people going through this process, but I don't own a care home personally. I have searched for care for a loved one, and I know that I didn't know half of the things that are in this book. And if I did, I would have felt so much more secure in making the right decision for that person that I loved. And so that's the reason why this is such a great marketing tool for you. It brings you on as the expert, just like Max said. It also puts information out there that people don't know they need to know before they find a care home. So that's why this is so important, not just for your marketing aspect. And Max has gone the extra mile there at the end and giving you all of the tools and helping you do the right things as far as marketing and sales talk and things like that. But this book is such a great resource for anyone that needs to know more about the senior care space. So Max, it doesn't look like we have any questions that have come in, but I hope that you guys schedule a call with him. I have that link in there. If anyone reaches out today and says, hey, I didn't get that link, I can surely get it to you, and I'll let Max know that you contacted me. Otherwise, everyone will be seeing this recording tomorrow.
Wonderful. Awesome. Hey, it was great. And I'm looking forward to the update. And Molly, you're doing an amazing job with the whole association is incredible. I was talking to some guys in San Francisco last week, and they wanted to know about the opportunity. And I've been kind of like, we have about 150 people in our in a mastermind that I'm in, another group that I'm in, and I've kind of, I think because of the book and the relationship with you guys, I'm sort of like the de facto RAL resource. And so these guys, very successful investors in San Francisco, got on the phone with me last week, and they, were asking me a bunch of questions. And, it's like, man, if this thing cash flows and in your, so like they were asking about the cash flow and what it's like and everything like that. And so I just went to the website that you and your team created, for the National Association. I'm like, well, here's all the homes that are registered with it, in the San Francisco Bay Area, and we were looking at all the different, communities. And I'm like, feel free to reach out to those folks and see what they're getting, for rent, and what the going rate is. But just like that resource that you've created and all the other resources, that's huge. And you're making it easy for people to get information about this who are serious and want to change their lives and help people at the same time. And that's why I'm so passionate about this. So, like I said, just keep up the good work.
You too, Max, and thank you so much for joining us tonight, and I'll see you at the next one.
Okay, sounds good. Bye, everybody. Take care.